One sec. All right. Welcome to the Side Action, episode 6 of season 5. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and on Instagram.
And I'm Steve Roberts, aka Action. You can follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
Follow the podcast at Side Action Pod on Twitter and Side Action Podcast on Instagram. So, Action, you've got the salmon shirt on, the hat backward. You're still out there playing golf. Good for you. It's 55 and rainy in Chicago.
Yeah, I think we got your nice weather just a day later. So I was checking the weather reports and it looked like today was going to be the last real day of reasonable weather. So we got out, played a little 18 today.
That's awesome. You got to do it while you can. We're discussing beach volleyball, going to the weekend update. I mean, fun weekend. It was Art Primetime Murphy's 50th on Saturday. Zach Rainmaker and I, we tied one on, buddy. It was
Yeah.
it was hammer time. I should say first, the Shockers won a big game on Saturday. We crushed them. We got a new quarterback. His name's Clay. He's amazing. He is the best quarterback we've played with, including your cousin and yourself. I know you played QB once.
That's not hard to eclipse.
I mean, this dude was legit. I mean, look away throws, just dimes all over the field. He plays at a high level on other teams. He was just kind of toying around with the other team here. We won 45-14. That was a beatdown. But we had some day drinking after that, maybe some shots afterwards in the victory. Took a little break, went to Primetime's birthday party, and man, it was hammer time. We said our goodbyes to Tavern on Rush. I'm sure you've maybe not been there, probably shouldn't have been there. Um, they're going out of business soon, and then end up at the Four Shadows. Finally got home. I was a little banged up, to be honest with you, for my tournament on Saturday, but played well, just a high level of competition. But overall, really, really fun weekend.
Nice. Yeah, we got out, did some rock climbing at a new gym that opened up in Eastern Market here, and then grabbed some beers, went to a little harvest festival downtown. It was a good time.
That's awesome, man. So we're in full fall activities. I'm sure we're going to hit a pumpkin patch soon, a farmer's market, a pumpkin patch, maybe have a Halloween costume at one point here on the podcast. I'm not going to make any promises, actually. I don't know what I'm going to dress up as yet. But more importantly, had another good week in the obviously in the contest and overall. So hopefully that carried over in your personal winnings.
Yeah, another great weekend for me. I knock on wood, I've had 4 winning weeks here in the NFL, and volume is up, which is always a good thing. I tend to bet a little bit more when I'm on a hot streak and then cool off as I trend down. So hopefully we can keep it going.
It's just like you at the craps table, the blackjack table. You got to ride that tidal wave. When you're up, get that winning. At some point, it's going to flip back on you, and then you can get conservative. That's right.
True.
Well, let's go over week 4 in the NFL here, Action. Some big injuries. We were talking actually on the pod last week about the Miami-Cincinnati game. We did like Cincinnati, but in this game, you obviously had a really serious situation with Tua. Talking about Loa, and he, it was scary. It was scary. We've seen the clip with his hands, and had kind of a major injury there. I guess it was another concussion, but it kind of looked more like a spinal thing. He is okay now, but he's going to sit out this week. You've got your guy Teddy Covers in there, but he is obviously, it's different when he's a favorite, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. He's the underdog covering machine, but I mean, the number has been depressed quite a bit. I don't know if there's other factors or if the market's just telling us that the move from Tua to Teddy is worth 3. I'm not so sure.
Right. We'll talk more about it later. You've got Daniel Jones on here. I think he might play, but he had an ankle injury, and Tyrod Taylor got concussed in the game. You're calling for Davis Webb. Davis Webb at QB. What he was a Cal guy, wasn't he?
I have no idea. That's a good shout out, though.
We'll see what happens with the Giants. I mean, they beat the Bears in a, dare I say, turning back the clock to the late 1970s or something. Very boring football in that game. And Daniel Jones, I think he ran for more yards than he passed in that game. Let's talk about some more important things for our teams. Javonte Williams, man, he was on my fantasy team. My team sucks, but he gets a torn ACL in that game. He's out for the year. Opens the door for Melvin Gordon and then the young guy Mike Boone. But and then it looks like Jonathan Taylor. He's not playing tonight in the game against Denver. He's out with a high ankle sprain. He hadn't missed a practice in his life or something
Yeah.
before last week. So now he's going to actually miss his first game in a long time.
Yeah, definitely. Colts are going to miss him tonight, I think. I read that Philip Lindsay is going to step in and get some carries, which will be interesting to see. But, I mean, it's not been him. It's the offensive line play that's been piss poor so far that's holding the Colts down, I believe.
Yeah, it's been terrible. We'll see how they fare against a pretty good Denver defense. Your guy Brian Hoyer came in for Matt Jones and or Mac Jones,
Yeah,
and then who cares? Bailey Zappi? Is that how you say his name?
that's
Zappi?
right. Yeah,
All
nailed
I
it.
know is he helped us in the victory. In comes Zappi, and he from Western Kentucky, a fourth rounder. He just kind of, I wouldn't say lit it up, but he connected on some big plays, and he can, he obviously performed pretty well in that game against the Pack.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that he's actually an upgrade over Brian Hoyer. I was pleased to see him come in, and I think I texted you that it's Zappy hour, and it was because he held on. They probably had a chance to win that game in Green Bay.
So close. We'll talk about that more in a minute. And the last injury is Corduro Patterson, who's been running wild. He's on the injured reserve now, missing at least 4 weeks with a knee injury. Your Tyler Algier share just soared. But you kind of, I don't know. The thing about Patterson, I love the way he runs, but it's
Yeah.
what they call it, the violent style. He runs so hard and like a kicker or kick returner, and he's bound to get hurt at some point, especially he's kind of a lanky guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's go to the recap of the games themselves. Action. As I mentioned, we had a great week, but there were some other games to mention. We kind of got a little bit lucky. The Vikings went across the pond. We thought this was going to be an easy one. They were favored by 2.5, but I mean, even without Jameis Winston there, the red rifle was showing the British faithful what he could do, and got them in position for a game-tying field goal of 61 yards that hit the crossbar. And so we actually secure the victory, both the spread and the win for Minnesota, 28-25. I know you were watching that game. I was frankly at the tournament and also a little bit hungover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a double doink actually. And right before that, the kicker Lutz, I think his name, hit another 60-yarder to close within three. I don't recall exactly the game script, but
Right.
so I mean he was lining up for that second one, and it hit the upright and then the crossbar, just like your Chicago Bears game years ago in the playoffs.
The double doink. Ugh. It's tough. That's a long kick, though. It wasn't the one that the double doink was not a long kick, if you remember
True.
correctly. Our one loss on the weekend was the Browns. The Browns are 1.5 point favorites, and we actually had 1 point, but they closed 1.5. They had multiple trips in the red zone here. And I don't know why they can't punch the ball in with that running game. They ended up actually losing the game 23-20. And I believe that I heard Mariota only had like 7 pass attempts or
Yeah.
completions in the game. So they lose to the Falcons 23-20. The Falcons miraculously are 2-2, as is Cleveland, which actually I think Cleveland would have taken 2-2 to start the season. But
Mm-hmm.
given that they could probably want bid 4-0, given who they've actually lost to in the Jets and Falcons, this was a tough loss.
Yeah, definitely a game that they probably wish they should or believe they should have won. But I'm not so sure. When you look at the box score, it actually was closer than I expected in yardage. And ultimately, I think the red zone variance probably was about even in reality, even though despite Cleveland didn't get their touchdowns, Atlanta had a few trips as well that didn't cash in. So it was a close game. Definitely a disappointment because the Browns had an opportunity late and Brissett just couldn't get them down into field goal range to tie the game.
Exactly. Saw that. The Eagles, we did not actually pick this game. I was on the Jags in this one, but the Eagles, we didn't pick this game, right?
No,
Okay.
I had the Eagles first
Okay.
half miraculous cover, but
This was the action green.
uh,
But Philly actually was down 14-0 in this game. And, it was a pouring rain game, pick 6 to start the game for Hurts on that one. And then Lawrence looked good on the first drive and then proceeded to turn the ball over 5 times in the game. Eagles win 29-21. Jags almost attempted to get in the back door there, but they couldn't quite do it. And the Eagles are the only undefeated team at 4-0 this in the league.
Yeah, another dominating second quarter. I think I was reading somewhere that they've outscored their opponents like 90-7 in the second quarter this season. The
Yeah,
Jags jumped up early, but then Philly came back and just dominated them to close the half.
absolutely. So we'll see. They are the favorite now, Action, to win the NFC. I don't know if you checked that. They're like, the plus 220 or 250 or something. They've surpassed everybody else in the NFC.
Rightfully so.
Oh, the Ravens. And we discussed this. I was on the Ravens. So, okay, let's talk about this line first of all. This line moved all over the place. So I guess they did technically cover if it was plus 3.5. I saw it dip to 3. Either way, I thought the Ravens should have probably won this game, but they were up 20-3 in the first half again. Didn't score at all in the second half. And then the questionable situation at the end of the game where Harbaugh goes for fourth down in the red zone instead of kicking the field goal to take the lead, allows the Bills to kind of just milk the clock by the end and then kick the easy field goal to win. So you're marking the Ravens as a cover. In the contest, it was a push, I guess. You see a lot of pushes out there. But what was going on with the Ravens? Why can't they score in the second half?
Yeah, their offense really sputtered, and it was red zone again. I think they had a couple of opportunities late. Lamar had 2 interceptions down there in the red zone or green zone, at least.
Right.
And Buffalo just really steadfastly got back into the game. They were moving the ball. I mean, I think the takeaway for me is that Baltimore's defense is not their normal defense this season, more than anything else.
Right. I think that's the takeaway. Giving up a tons of yards right now, especially in the
Hopefully,
second half of games.
you got 3.5 though, right? The Ravens.
I didn't end up betting the
Oh, I
game.
see. Okay.
I was on the Ravens when we discussed it.
Yeah.
But and watching early, I'm like, 20-3. But it was exactly like Miami, and they just blew it, And I think the Bills are a better team than Miami, but I mean, it was still they didn't score in the second half, unlike that Miami game.
Yeah.
We were on the Cowboys, though, Action. Cowboys were 3-point favorites at home, and they just destroyed Washington. I mean, that defense is awesome. Your guy, Cooper Rush, 4-0 was a starter, 4-0 ATS, 25-10 was the win, and he's playing great.
Yeah, Cooper Rush is playing well. I wouldn't say the box score, though, lends me to think it was a destruction. I mean, the yardage was actually pretty close, if
Right.
I recall. And so they probably should have covered, but was it 15 points margin? I doubt it.
hmm I agree with you. The game was more like 15-10 for a long time. And I was sitting there like, this is the classic backdoor situation, or they could have won late score or something. But don't worry, Carson Wentz couldn't get it done.
Like always.
We were all over the Titans. Titans plus 3.5 in this game against your Colts. For some reason, there's a matchup advantage, and they won outright again. 24-17. They were never trailed in this game. The Titans have been coming out of the gates lately in their games, and the Colts have been doing nothing in the first half. So the Colts dropped to 0-2-1 in the division action. I mean, it probably begs the question: do you even think they can win this division anymore?
I think Jacksonville is the favorite now. They should be, at least. I think Jacksonville and Tennessee are both 2-2 at the top, but they have to prove something to me. This is another game, though. I'll admit we'll take the W, but the box score tells you that it was a lot closer than the final score indicates. I don't think that Tennessee even scored in the second half. The Colts blamed them 7-0. And the yardage disparity was quite large. The Colts put up 365 yards and the Titans only 243. So there's some red zone malfunctions, some turnovers. Although I believe that the Matt Ryan turnovers are not really luck. They're just him getting pressure and dropping the football. I think he has 9 fumbles now on the season. So
Yeah.
some things that need to be
shrink in
corrected.
the offseason action? Did they get?
I don't know. He's in a dome to dome. I mean, there's no weather there in Indianapolis. We'll see.
Yeah, he's not used to that kind of pressure, I guess. So
Right.
the game you kind of mentioned earlier, the Patriots went to Lambeau, and usually Lambeau, I mean, Pat can definitely cover some numbers up there, but we thought that 9.5 was a little too much, and it was. I mean, the Pats led most of this game. I mean, the Green Bay had to really push it. We both had Green Bay as survivor picks. We were sweating this one out. It went all the way to OT, and your Zappy hour almost got it done, but not quite. They lose 27-24, but we'll definitely take the cover. But man, I don't know. When I was looking at LaFleur during that game, I'm like, are you just getting out coached? I mean, what's going on out there?
Yeah, their offense just isn't what it has been in years past. They haven't really blown anybody away yet this season, and I don't really, as I sit here today, I don't have expectations that they're just going to all of a sudden return to the Green Bay offense nice from years
Well, it's
past.
not just the offense action. The defense can't stop the run. I mean, they gave up, 100 plus, 150 plus yards again on the ground. They play a team like Philadelphia, they're going to run like for 300 yards on them. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just if teams come out and can't throw the ball like the Patriots and the Bears, for example, they're just running it down their throats. I mean, they got to figure out a way to stop the run one way or another. I'm not sure how they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Last game was the Chiefs going to Tampa. I tried to talk into this pick. Thankfully, we didn't do it. The Bucks. I think the game closed a pick, or it was one. It was really close. Chiefs +2 is kind of the contest number or whatever it was. Mahomes looked amazing. The Chiefs just ran all over the Bucks, which I don't know how that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 189 yards on the ground, and they won 41-31. On the flip side, the Bucks barely ran the ball because they were losing the whole damn game. But do you think this was just a payback situation, or have the Chiefs actually found a running game?
I don't know how to explain the Chiefs' offensive success in that game. I mean, I watched it as well, more casually, but they just couldn't stop them. I mean, the Chiefs looked like a juggernaut there, which was so remarkable after what the performance was the week before against Indianapolis. The
Mhm.
way they turned it around and just flipped on the switch and dominated the Buccaneers, I did not see coming at all.
Yeah, me neither. Well, I graded this week kind of dead even on underdogs and unders, 8-8 for underdogs and 8-8 for the totals, unders and overs. So finally, the books are getting it right, splitting it down the middle.
Yeah.
Only two games were kind of affected by the spread there directly, and that's on the season. It's 12.5%. So it seems like things are normalizing a little bit, at least in week 4. I'm not sure that'll be the case every week, but it's kind of coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's look at week's 5 lines. I mean, tonight as we speak, the game will kick off in a moment. Colts versus Broncos. Your Colts opened as 3-point dogs on the road, now 3.5 in the Circa contest, 43-point total. 3.5. We've kind of talked about that. It's a pretty big advantage to that team that gets the hook. Not that it matters. We're not going to pick this game, but I mean, do you think that the Broncos could cover 3.5? As bad as the Colts have been?
Well, I bet the Broncos at 3. I certainly think it's a different handicap when you're talking about 3.5. So
Right.
if we were to pick Thursday games, I certainly don't think that we would be interested in the Broncos.
Right.
But this game, I just think the Colts are in trouble. Again, they're 32nd ranked offensively, and I think that Denver's defense, even without Randy Gregory, is going to get some pressure on Matt Ryan, and I think the Colts are going to lose pretty handily tonight.
Okay. Yeah, we'd be on opposite sides. Not that I think the Colts are great. I just think the Broncos aren't that great either.
Yeah.
So, probably another stinker in the total, 43. I don't know. It wasn't right. I thought it opened a little higher than this, but these primetime games have kind of been stinkers except for the Bucks Chiefs.
True. Yeah, I don't expect this game is going to be an enjoyable watch tonight.
Right. Well, let's go to our second London game this year. The Giants and the Packers go overseas. This time, it's the Packers' first time in London. I didn't realize that.
Hmm.
This game looks like it opened pretty low at 37.5, if that's what I'm reading correctly. The Pack opened as an 8.5-point favorite, now 8 in the Circa contest. They're not in Lambeau, right? And the Giants have played really close to the vest in all these games. So with that low total, it screams to take the Giants. I don't believe in the Giants, though, Action. So I cannot get on board with that team. I'm assuming you don't want to lay 8 with the Pack.
No, definitely not. I mean, we just talked about how this offense isn't really humming like it has been in years past, only 17th ranked, and
Mhm.
they're defensively, you mentioned it as well. Their ability to stop the run is dead last, and Saquon Barkley has been playing well this season. So the thing that gives me pause in this game is Daniel Jones. I did
Right.
see a report that he was, quote, moving well during practice yesterday. So
Right.
maybe the ankle injury isn't quite what it was last week. But I mean, he came out of that game and I think he stayed out until Tyrod Taylor got concussed. Maybe he came back in, but they were running Wildcat for some reason, and the Bears were just letting
Yes.
them run it down their throats.
They can't stop the Wildcat. What is it, Ronnie Brown back there from Miami?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Yeah, this is my biggest fear is the pack. One of the things I will say about the pack last week that I liked when it was late, the rookie Romeo Dobbs looks pretty good. He
Hmm.
did almost have the game-winning touchdown at the end there. If they kind of get that rapport going, that'll open up the passing game. And I don't think the Giants can score. I know the total 41 is super low for a reason, but the pack should be able to score some points on the Giants. I just don't think it scores. So we can stay away. I'm just
Hmm.
talking.
I do think this is a great under game. You've already seen this number. I think it went as high as 42 or 43 this week until the money came in on the under, where it sits now 41 and a half. And I think that this is probably one of my favorite teaser legs of the week too. On the
Sure.
Packers going from 8 down to 2 is a standard teaser, gets you through the 7 and the 3.
Yep. Definitely great teaser game. So, all right, here we go. Detroit Lions, who we didn't mention, score 45 and lose. Uh, they're going to the Patriots. The total is at 47 down to 46. The Patriots are favored 2.5 points at home, up to 3.5 in the contest. I did like the game at 2.5 for the Pats, and I think I wrote that at 3 at the bottom. When it goes up to 3.5, we get that trepidation. We talked about that last week. Detroit's gonna have to. They're gonna score. They're scored against anybody theoretically, but they can't stop a goddamn thing, even if it's Zappy hour. So, I mean, where are you at with this game? I don't think I can back the Pats at the 3.5 anymore. I don't think that's wise, but I don't know if I can take the Lions either.
Yeah. Well, at first I'd like to start with the total. I was very interested to see what would happen because knowing that Denver or Detroit's defense is so poor,
Mm,
32nd ranked, that
yep.
I thought we might see some over money in this game, but it's been the contrary actually. Opened at 47 and now I'm seeing like 45 and a half at some shops and it looks like it's going down. So that leads me to believe that the sharp bettors out there in the market think that Bill Belichick and son Steve are going to have something lined up for this Detroit Lions offense.
Right. I think so too. And I mean, obviously, we saw in the Super Bowl, I don't know if it's a Goff thing or it was a Rams thing, but he definitely shut down the Rams in the Super Bowl. Maybe he knows how to take away what Goff does best. You
Mhm.
have, obviously have Swift out of this game likely. I don't know if your guy St. Brown is going to play or not. So some sharp guys know something.
Yeah. I mean, would you consider the Patriots? I mean, the other thing we didn't talk on the other side of the ball is the Patriots are number one rushing offense, and
Hmm.
the Lions defense is 32nd ranked. So, like the widest disparity that we can see between a run game and run defense. Do you
Right.
think that the Patriots, despite Zappy likely starting, can actually cover this number at 3.5?
Well, again, 3.5 was, I mean, that's why they put it there. They're trying to make us
Mhm.
make a decision. I was all over it at 2.5, 3. I put it in our recommendations because that's how I was looking at the market. And I don't know what it is at this moment. Is it 3.5 in the market right now, or is that just
No,
Circa making a decision?
looks like majority of books are at 3 currently, but I mean it's shaded towards the Patriots.
Mhm.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, I could get on board with it if we needed one because it was in my recommendations initially because I do think New England's a better football team. But that hook, man, hook's gonna make me sweat.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we color it in like a very light shade of yellow.
Very, very light. Very light.
We can come back to it if we need.
Yep. Yep. Okay, here we go. In the 1 o'clock window, we've got the Chargers and Browns in Cleveland. The Browns actually open as a dog at home, 3-point dog at home. The total being 48. Total's down to 47.5. Now the Browns are a 2-point dog at home. I don't know, actually. I don't understand this line. I think the Browns, I mean, their lack of scoring in the red zone is troubling, no question. And the Chargers are, everybody's favorite team, our team too in the preseason. But my numbers say that the Browns are a better football team. Why are they basically 4 points worse than the Chargers? Is
Hmm.
that what we're saying on a neutral?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I have this game again. I mean, the Wegs and Action isn't perfect through 4 weeks, but I've got Cleveland a much heavier favorite, like 3 or 4 points
Yeah.
down, right? So I'm trying to make sense of this. Is it injuries? Is there a matchup advantage? I mean, you tell me, Action.
Well, the one thing that gives me pause in these numbers is just understanding what the Browns' strength of schedule has been so far
Right.
this season, ranked 30th. They've had some cupcakes on the schedule to start the
Sure.
year. And so that, some bettors may think that the Browns number is a little bit inflated of where their true water level is. But I'm with you. I mean, this is a Chargers team that we've seen historically year in and year out that has really sputtered on the road. And they almost let Houston back into the game last week,
Mhm.
despite a huge first half advantage. And I saw a Houston team, Damian Pierce, that was running all over them. And you and I both know that this Browns running attack is third ranked, and they're going to be able to do some damage on the ground, which I think is going to be key in this game, especially on the lakefront there.
Right. Without Bosa, putting pressure on Brissett. I mean, like, I don't know, man. It's almost like it's just tricky. I mean, I heard a bookmaker say we don't make any fishy lines and all this other stuff.
Uh-huh.
I'm just sitting here like, I don't know how they made this line because usually my lines are pretty close. This is way off. So I'd be all over the Browns. We don't
Yeah, I
put it
mean,
green, we can put it yellow. Any color you want.
the one last thing I was going to mention is that this is a game indeed that I want to check the injury report for those Browns defensive injuries. If we get Myles Garrett coming back, I think there's a couple of secondary members that are banged up too. I mean, if they are looking good on the injury front, then I'm certainly in for the Browns.
Yeah. Okay. We'll double check it. All right, here we go. Dolphins and Jets, the AFC East, matchup here. This is down, or this is in New York. We didn't talk about this, a comeback by your guy, Zach Wilson. First start, made it happen. They're down 20-10. He gets the win, 24-10 or 24-20. The Finns are going to go with Teddy Covers here, but they are a road favorite this time. They open as a 3-point favorite, 3.5 now. Total stayed at 44. I know talked about Teddy Covers as a dog. I don't like this game for the Dolphins. Not that I think they're going to lose, but 3.5. It's the whole thing. Like, come on, road dog or home dog in division with the hook. I can't go with the Dolphins here.
Yeah. I was kind of discouraged to see the 3.5 on this game, much like the Patriots game,
Mm-hmm.
because I bet the Dolphins at 3 already
Sure.
earlier this week, because I think that this is a Jets team that's really just starting their season in terms
Right.
of Zach Wilson going out early in the preseason. I don't think he even got hardly a snap. And last
Absolutely.
week was like their preseason game. So this is really like week one that they're moving into.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's going to be some growing pains yet, despite the nice couple drives against the Steelers last week. And I think this Miami Dolphins defense is a good one, and I expect that they're going to play well. But I'm with you. I don't think we could take the Dolphins -3.5 on the road.
Let's pass it. Let's pass it, Action. Put it to the side.
Love it.
Okay, Tennessee going to the Commanders. Washington has proven to be a terrible football team, apparently. Um, the Titans open as a 3-point favorite on the road, 42-point total. It's up to 42.5 now in the total, but the line moved down to 1.5 for the Titans. Maybe is Tannehill hurt or something? What's going on? Why did that go down? I mean, the Titans aren't that great of a football team, but Washington's defense isn't that great, and the Titans have been able to get up in games and stay up of late. It's probably one of those games that Washington bounces back big time, but I don't know. It's hard for me to trust Carson Wentz, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I showed this game at like 3.5 on a
Mhm.
neutral, and so I guess you could give Washington some home field advantage. So I think the number is about right, to be honest. And I like you. I think that Tennessee is maybe a little bit inflated in the market. And we talked about strength of schedule with the Browns. Well, you've got to say the same for Washington. They've played the toughest schedule through 4 weeks of the NFL season thus far.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so you got to think that their numbers are depressed a little bit. And they actually have a pretty good run defense too, which is another thing that I always look at when I'm betting on the Titans. So it's pass for me.
All right, pass it. Can I interest you in an NFC North game? The Bears go to the Vikings. Boy, the Bears are bad. We knew they're bad, but at the Four Shadows, there was a woman there who was a Bears fan. Oh boy, she was cursing like a sailor at the end. Like they wouldn't throw the goddamn ball. Throw the ball, Fields. Throw the fucking ball. It was hilarious. But anyway, the Vikings open as a 7-point favorite at home, 43-point total. It's up to 43 and a half. They gave us the hook again, 7.5 here for the Vikes. Probably going to be my survivor pick, by the way, on the Vikings. I do think they're going to win the game. 7.5, God, I hate that. I mean, I know why they do it. They do it because it's a tough decision, but give me a redeeming quality. I can't get with the Bears, so I have to do a favorite here or pass. So tell me why we shouldn't take the 7.5, or we should it's just a bad number. We should pass it.
Well, it's obviously not 7. That's my first. And honestly, the Vikings, I think as far as I know, this is the first time in the history of the London series where teams are coming back from London and not having a bye. And the Saints are doing it too. In fact, they both requested of the NFL to have their bye later in the season, and so both of them are playing after traveling back from London. I think it's probably going to be overblown, though. I mean, I heard and read that the Vikings had like this supreme charter flight where they all had lay flat beds or whatnot, so they probably didn't even realize that they took a trip to London.
Yeah, they all got home on Sunday night. Both teams got home on Sunday night.
Wow.
So it was like they traveled. It just was a 6 or 7 hour flight versus 3.
Sure.
It's a really unique situation. You're right, though. Actually, it is a unique situation.
So I mean, there's a small carrot there on the Bears side, but I don't think it's enough to sway what the Bears really are. They're a team that doesn't pass the ball, and they try to run it all the time. And I think the Vikings are going to be ready for that. And on the other side, I think that this Vikings offense has shown that they can run, and certainly Kirk Cousins is dynamite in the 1 p.m. slot. So
yes,
I think we should consider the Vikings. I think it's going to be a low-picked game as well.
Okay, we can put it as a yellow. I mean, like I said, I see them winning the game, and usually the spread doesn't matter. So, these damn hooks, man. But I get it. I know why they did it. Okay, how about Atlanta against the Bucks? Atlanta, obviously, they won last week at home. Now they go to Tampa. Seems like Tampa played a lot of games at home so far, but Tampa's open as a 9-point favorite. They're 8.5 in the contest. The total is the same at 48. It's tough. It's a divisional game. I do think Tampa's going to be a little pissed off after last week losing on primetime, and Atlanta has basically overachieved. But this line is perfect. Not perfect, but I mean it's what I would have it. So I don't see any value per se. I'm not sure if you see value there, but I'm a little frustrated because I can't get any value here. I'm trying to get some value on some side.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned it last week. This Atlanta offense has been beating the odds makers' expectations through all 4 weeks now of the season. They have the second-ranked run offense. But despite what we saw last Sunday night with the Chiefs running well, I still believe in this Tampa Bay Bucks defensive front. And so I don't believe that Atlanta's going to have as much success. And certainly now that Corduro Patterson is out too, that brings them down another notch as well. So I think it's got to be Tampa or pass here, but it's just too big of a number to put down on this offense right now.
Yeah, for the contest, I agree. I mean, it did show me something that they got to put up 31 points, even though they were just behind the whole game, just chucked it every time.
Yeah, I mean, have Mike Evans and Julio Jones and Godwin all back in the lineup makes a huge difference for Tom Brady and company. I did see that Brady hit the injury report yesterday, though, with a shoulder injury, so that's concerning.
A lot of people speculated that was a trip to the divorce lawyer on Twitter. I'm not sure if that's true. So Giselle might be on the market for me. I don't know. I mean, I could use a sugar mama.
On Sunday night or on Monday, I saw on Twitter that there was odds on both Giselle's next boyfriend and Tom Brady's next girlfriend on Bet Online, and I wanted to put it in the outline, but I didn't. So maybe we'll table that for a slow week.
I'm sure I have very long odds, but I can give it a shot.
We need to ask Bet Online to add you.
Yeah, Exactly. All right, let's get into another marquee game. I guess sort of the Steelers going to the Bills. This was the opener last year. The Bills opened as a 13.5 point favorite at home, 14 points in the contest. The total stayed at 47. I didn't get to make a plug for my guy Kenny Pickett. I'm getting his jersey, by the way. I love Kenny Pickett. I don't know why I love him so much. Maybe it's more because I have so many Steelers on my stupid fantasy team, and I need him to start revving it up. But last year, the Steelers went in and kind of shocked the world and beaten the Bills in kind of a weird game. So there's definitely a revenge spot. And one of the things I will mention, I'm sure you will mention at some point, is the Bills usually when they play these kind of lesser teams, and I'm not saying the Steelers are that much less, but they're not that good this year, they usually smash. But 14, come on, man, that's a lot of points. So you probably can't get on board to do the Bills there, but are you going to make a case for the Steelers here?
No. It's Bills are pass for me in this game. This is a team that thrives on crushing their opponents.
Mhm.
And I think that their defensive injuries are getting a little bit healthier. Ed Oliver's back in the lineup, and
Yep.
they're getting some of their secondary members back. And on the other side, I saw Minka Fitzpatrick hit the injury report. He's questionable to play this weekend. And I think if Minka is out, they have no chance at stopping the Bills on that side of the ball. So I think that they have a really good chance of covering 14, to be honest.
Hmm. Would you consider doing it in the contest? I mean, usually these big spreads don't get picked. I remember the year that Miami was so bad. We
Yeah.
kept taking Miami and they weren't covering those spreads. Um, yeah, the Bills are the only team. The Bills and the Chiefs are usually those teams that can smash, right?
hmm
At least in the old days. But
Yeah,
I
I
was
mean,
with you.
the only thing that the Steelers have going for them in these matchups is their running game. I mean, the Bills' run defense is 31st ranked, and Najee Harris could make some hay, but I think that Kenny Pickett, despite playing well last week, is going to be in for a rude awakening this week in his first start.
I heard a stat that rookies in their first start never cover the spread.
Never, 100%.
Right. So, um, anyway, okay. Well, let's go to the next one. We got the Texans and the Jags. I did think this was going to be a toilet bowl beginning of the season, but the Jags have played well. I don't know how well. I mean, they're 7 point favorites here, action on the opener and 7 points in the contest at home. 44 point total opener, 44.5 at this point. The Jags are better than the Texans, no question. I'm not going to argue with that. I do like the way the Jags have been playing. Should they be favored by 7, though? That's a lot of points, man. I don't know if I can get on board with it. Let's see what I had it at. I mean, I probably did have it at that number. I'm sure I had 8 or 9 points per the index, but I don't know. Divisional game, the Texans somehow always seem to get in the back door somehow. What do you think?
I like the Jaguars in this game. I think that they're going to bounce back after the poor performance through the last 3 quarters in Philadelphia last week. And
Hmm?
I think the weather, the driving rainstorm had an effect on Trevor Lawrence
Oh, yeah.
negatively in terms of the turnovers. And most importantly, the Jaguars' run defense is stout, and they're going to be able to stop Damian Pierce and company. And I don't think that Davis Mills is going to be able to throw on them either. So I like the Jags, and I was pleased to see 7 and not 7.5 in this one.
Mm. All right. I don't know, man. That's just a lot of points for the Jag. I mean, I love that the Jags are. When's the last time they've been favored? I mean, it's
Yeah,
been a minute.
that's fair. Yeah, their offense has been good this year though, 12th ranked, and they're 8th passing. So
Oh, and the defense has been good too. They've been really good. I mean, don't
mhm.
trust me, they're playing great. I mean, they're up there in the Wegs Index. I mean, we did it this week, man. I don't know if you checked it out. They're fourth in the Wegs Index. They're playing great. I just maybe not. Maybe next week. Action. Sorry, can't get on board yet.
4th in DVOA too. Curiously,
It's the same. All right, last game in the 1 o'clock window. The Seahawks are going to the Saints. 45.5 point total in the opener. It's up to 46 now. The spread has stayed at 5.5, despite Jameis Winston's health is cloudy. You've got Michael Thomas on the injury report. I guess Kamara is probably not going to play, or he's on the injury report again. So 5.5 for the Saints. I mean, look, the Seahawks are overachieving. We said that they're not very good, but they played great against Detroit, who has no defense. The Saints have a defense. 5.5, though. God, these guys can't score. The Saints can't score either.
Mm.
I don't know. It's a stay away from me, actually. I can't pick a side there.
Yeah, it's the Saints or pass. I have no interest in Seattle in this game. They're reaching to a point where they're just inflated to a point where I can't bet them. I mean, Geno Smith has been awesome through 4 weeks, and their offense has been great too, third ranked. But I believe that the Saints are going to have something for them this week. And, we already saw them play one. We had one data point against a great defense in the San Francisco 49ers, and they couldn't do
Right.
anything against them. So I expect that it's going to be more of the same this week. And on the other side of the ball, the Seahawks just gave up 45 points to the Lions. So I think if it's red rifle and we see Kamara in, there's some value here on the Saints.
Okay. I do know that Rashad Penny also was on the injury report for Seattle.
That's big.
He's been running wild. Okay, maybe we could 5.5. Oof. You think there's value there?
I do. Yeah. I think this should be closer. Well,
Hold on,
yeah,
let me see what
it's pretty close.
my data says it should be 4, but I mean, no question that Seattle's going to get beat. So let's go to some other games. Let's see. We got the 49ers going to Carolina. The opener was 6.5, and it stayed there for the contest for 49ers on the road. 6.5-point favorites. 39.5 down to 39. I was wrong on Baker Mayfield. Sorry, everybody. He sucks. Everybody knows that he stinks. I don't know who their backup is. They might consider it because this offense is, I think, dead last. They're terrible. If it wasn't for that defense, they would not be in any game. And luckily, their defense is decent. They lost to a subpar Arizona team last week. And the 49ers, I don't know, man. They played great against the Rams. They covered. But 6.5, fuck. Why do they do this to me, actually? It's not easy to pick this week. It's getting to be tough. So I don't know. I actually like the Carolina defense, but the 49er offense isn't that great, but I just can't see Baker doing anything against this defense.
Mm-hmm. Sam Darnold is the backup, but I think that he's still at least a week away.
Okay.
He had I think a knee injury, something preseason, and he's not available as far as I know.
Right.
But certainly feels like when he's ready, they're going to make the switch. They have to, right?
I think they have to.
I think this is a spot for the Panthers. I hate to say it.
My numbers say 4. It's 6. It's too big of a spread for the 49ers.
Yeah. I mean, this is not an offense that is capable of putting up a lot of points. And I was kind of surprised that the Rams couldn't get much pressure on Jimmy G last week. I think that's because he would take like a one-step drop on every play and just whip it out to Debo, which worked. I can't believe they scored 2 long touchdowns on those plays. But, I mean, Carolina's defense is really good.
I know.
I mean, they've scored in multiple weeks in a row now. And I think that this is going to be an extremely low-scoring game. What's the total?
39.
Yeah. I mean, there you
Lowest
go.
on the board, right?
So, I mean, just like our argument last week, of course, that was 9.5 with the Packers, but I think that 6.5 has some value, and I think it would be a sneaky pick.
If they lose this game, do you think Matt Rule gets fired?
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, within reason. I think if they keep it within the number, he could maybe keep his job, but if they get smashed, I think he's gone. Yeah. Frank Reich might beat him, though. Reich could be gone tomorrow morning.
Uh-oh, what's the score?
3-0 Broncos.
Okay. Let's put a yellow on Carolina. I could be talked into it. I mean, they're Jimmy Wegs' darling. I love Carolina in the preseason. I thought they'd be better. 49ers traveling to East Coast. I don't know, man. We'll see.
And off a short week, too. I think historically that trend has been actually the other way for teams that have full rest, but short week is going to be very detrimental.
Right. All right, let's do Cowboys and Rams. The Rams open as a 4.5-point favorite in this game. They're up to 5. The total went from 45 to 43. Explain me this line action. I don't understand it. The Cowboys, and I'm not trying to get on America's team, and I'm not talking about the Raiders proxy, but the Cowboys have been playing great. There's no question. Cooper Rush, whatever. But it's really the defense here. That's why they're winning these games. The Rams, 5-point favorites at home. I mean, Could be a bounce back spot. That's probably what you're going to tell me. But 5 points? Ugh, I don't feel good about that. Dallas, I have them favored in the game, like even on the road. I mean,
Wow.
short favorite, of course, but they're a better team statistically. So tell me why the Rams are favored.
I don't know either. Um, I don't know that I would go as far to say that Dallas should be favored, but we saw on Sunday night this game opened up at 6. This is before the Monday game, obviously the
Mhm.
Rams and the Niners, and it got just hammered by somebody who carries a lot of weight in the market, and it pushed the number all the way down to 4 on Sunday night.
That
We've seen
somebody is action.
no, it wasn't. I wish I had bet the Cowboys at 6. Although, I mean, it might get back there, though, to be honest. If we see some more
It
public
might.
money come into the market between now and Sunday, I
Right.
think this is in terms of like real betting, those of you who are interested in the Cowboys, there's no point in betting it now. You might as well wait to see if that 6 pops up
Right.
because that's certainly going to be more valuable than 5.5. Um, I just don't think that the Rams' offensive line is going to be able to protect Matthew Stafford at all. This Cowboys pass rush is a menace. They're number one getting after the quarterback. They have 15 sacks on the year, and the Rams have given up 16 on the year. So I don't see how Stafford's going to have any time to throw.
Well, it didn't. Am I mistaken that didn't the Cowboys beat the Rams last year in Dallas? Maybe I'm confusing that. But I don't know. I agree with you. I think the Cooper Cup gets open on everybody. They're going to put Diggs on him. He's going to just jam him at the line and try to take away the. That's all
Mm-hmm.
that Stafford throws to, and they have to run the ball in this game. They're not going to run against the Cowboys. So
Right?
I don't know. I have to pick the Cowboys here. I mean, it's just confusing. It's like the Cleveland thing, and I think the Cowboys are better than Cleveland. It's like something's wrong with this line, and maybe I'm getting, you know, some sharp guys know what they're doing. I don't understand why this line's this big. So,
What do you think about the matchup on the other side of the ball with Cooper Rush and Elliott and company? Are they going to be able to score against this Rams defense?
probably not a lot. I mean, last week Gallup helped them a little bit late, and obviously our guy CeeDee Lamb finally caught a ball, but I don't think Elliott is running the ball well. The offensive line's not playing great.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks like a smash mouth game. So the total going down to 43 makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's just maybe you're right. Maybe they win. Maybe the Rams win 10-3 or something. Just an ugly one. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
A couple of 42 and a halves already
I
as
mean, at
well.
some point, the Cooper Rush is going to lose a game, right? I mean, he's going to
Yeah.
lose, and he's also going to have a bad game where he's going to. I heard something today that maybe McCarthy and company are coaching better because they have limited things they can do with Cooper Rush.
Mm.
Where they have Dak, he can do anything theoretically, and that's why they weren't coaching as well. I don't know. It sounds a little far fetched, but in the
You're
end, they're
kidding.
coming up with good game plans. And with the Rams, you got to get the ball out early and get away from Aaron Donald, and then run effectively when you have certain situations. And I mean, look what, like you said, what the 49ers did is the blueprint. Just throw it out, get it out to CD or whoever. Now they don't have a Debo Samuel out there, but
Mm-hmm.
get it to your playmakers and get it going. I think Pollard's going to have
Sure.
a good game here. He's going to get a lot of dump off passes here.
Yeah. I
So,
think that Mike McCarthy and coaching better is an oxymoron, but I hear what you're saying. It's not hard to improve from where he started.
obviously, he's sitting back on his couch and eating his beer nuts and saying, "I can coach that team." So,
I like the Cowboys too. We should lock it in.
all right, but are you willing to put this in a pick?
Yeah. Yeah. I like the Cowboys a lot. And we're following Sharp Better, which I like to do as well.
Okay. All right, Philadelphia Eagles at Arizona. The Birds are playing the other Birds. The Eagles they open as 6-point favorites down to 5 in the contest. Total stayed at 49. And look, I don't like Kyler Murray at all. He played good last week, I guess. At some point, the Eagles are going to stub their toe. At some point. I'm not saying it's this week, but at some point, you got to line up against them. I think they're going to win this game. They played very well going in. Maybe it's going to be a divisional spot, uh, you know, Cowboys or something. But at some point, this is going to be like the survivor pick that everybody gets screwed on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be that guy,
Uh-huh.
but I'm just saying that I don't love the Eagles at the 5. I think they're worthy of the spread, but it's a little bit too rich for the road favorite here for me. So I can't back the Cardinals.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I mean, this number opened at 6, down to 5, so obviously there are some bettors in the market that like the Cardinals, but I just don't see it. They've played the 31st ranked strength of schedule, so second easiest, and their numbers are piss poor. They're 29th ranked on defense and 22nd on offense. So I just don't see how there's any expectation that the Cardinals are all of a sudden going to be better. And they historically under Kingsbury have performed worse at home than they have on the road. So
Yeah,
coming off a big win at Carolina, but I think that this is a game where you're going to see materialize. You're going to see a lot of people who think they're really smart betting on the Cardinals, but I certainly am not going to be there with them. And I think that on the other side, it's just a game we should pass on the Eagles and find another spot later down the line.
agreed. Easy pass. All right, two more games, some exciting games. You got the battle in the AFC North. You've got the Bengals going to the Ravens. Ravens open as a 3-point favorite. Now they're up to 3.5. The total has stayed constant at 48.5. A little weird here, action. Now I know that the Bengals started off like crap in this year. The first two games they looked terrible. They've kind of turned the ship around. They're playing a lot better. And we know what the Ravens have done. They probably should be 4-0, but they've lost games late. Bengals owned them last year in the matchups. I'm a little surprised that we get the hook here, maybe because everybody would take the Ravens. I'm on the Bengals here, buddy. I don't love them, and I know that their pass rush isn't. I mean, their pass protection isn't great, but I got the Bengals here. It should be around a pick to me, or maybe a 1-point favorite, but not the 3.5. It's value on the Bengals.
Yeah, that's tough. I'm not sure I'm there yet. I may have to ponder this one a little bit more. I just haven't seen much from the Bengals offense so far. I mean, they looked good last week, but that was semi good, I guess. That was a short week against the Dolphins team that was in a really, really bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
And even yet, they're still 27th ranked on offense and 28 rushing the ball, 20th in pass. And on the other side, I think that Lamar Jackson is obviously playing at an MVP caliber right now. And I was very, very interested to see that this number ticked up from 3 to 3.5. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty big move. And it was at 3 like Sunday through yesterday. And then once those limits went up, you saw some money pour in on the Ravens side here. And that gave me a little bit of hesitation, to be quite honest.
We can stay away. It's fine to stay away from the primetime games. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I will say Jamar Chase had like mega touchdowns against this team, which he hasn't done shit all year. He's on my fantasy team, the same team that sucked all year. Like he had one decent game. That was game one. He hasn't done anything since then.
Yeah. Let's think about it. I'll color it yellow. We can talk about it a little bit more on Saturday, but I also believe that we've done pretty well the last couple weeks and the end of last year by staying away from the big games, quote
Yeah,
unquote. So
I agree. I'm okay with that. We got plenty of other ones too. All right, here's the proxy. The Raiders. I told you the Raiders would get off the schneid last week, didn't I? Action. So they got their big win. Obviously, they did what they could against the Broncos and they won. They're going to the Chiefs though. Chiefs coming off the big win. They opened as a 7.5-point favorite. It's down to 7 now. The total went from 53.5 down to 51. Traditionally, this game, at least when Gruden was there, was the Raiders stood toe to toe with this team and beat them on a couple occasions. I think the Chiefs are playing another level, but am I getting recency bias from the Tampa game? Maybe, 7 points. If you think about a divisional matchup, 7 points, road dog, that's what you should take. I mean, that's what the book says, right? But I don't know. The Raiders aren't quite the same team, and they haven't shown me what they should have been at the preseason. What are your ideas?
yeah, I mean, new coaching staff. I know you mentioned Gruden's gone, but also the defensive coordinator is now in Indianapolis, whose name I don't know.
Right.
But they were able to show a little bit against Patrick Mahomes last year, and I was curious to see big bet come in Sunday night that moved this 53.5 down to 51.
Hmm.
So leads me to believe that somebody thinks that there's going to be a little bit of lower scoring in this game. And I don't know if that's the Raiders stopping KC or vice versa, because the Kansas City defense has actually been pretty good this year, especially stopping the run.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the one area where the Raiders have been excelling so far with Josh Jacobs. And so I think just looking at the total move down and understanding what the Kansas City defense has been able to do this season, the bettors are looking at that side of the ball. And on the other side, obviously, we don't need to say anything about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and company because they've been smashing so far this year. I think it's Kansas City or pass.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Just don't know if I'm, Kansas City 2 years ago, that covered every number no matter where it was set.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it, because the Raiders, I don't know, they haven't played great, but they haven't, I don't know, they haven't just put up total stinker either. I mean, I think that they've been okay, and they can get within that 7. So I'm fine to pass the game 100%.
I mean, you mentioned the Raiders have competed with this team the last several seasons, and for that reason, I don't think that there's any chance the Chiefs are going to come home after the big win against Tampa and just take a night off because this is a divisional game that they know they need.
Mm-hmm.
So I certainly think they're going to win. This is my second leg of my teaser. I got Packers and Chiefs. I mean, all they have to do is win. So
yeah, exactly. There you go. That's the teaser special.
Packers Chiefs.
Okay, well, we can leave it alone. I'm okay. We've got plenty of options here.
Yeah, I think so too.
Even though we've got some interesting color choices for our things, we've got New England in the peach, -3.5 at home. You've got the Browns and the brown at -2 at home, or +2 at home. The Vikings -7.5 against the Bears at home. The Bills in a -14 crusher spot there. Jags -7. You're trying to talk me into that at home. The Panthers +6.5 at home. That's a good underdog. Dallas underdog +5 at home or on the road, and then I don't know if I can talk into the Bengals. You got to think about it. Bengals +3.5 on the road. So we've got a definite some underdogs and some favorites. We can sort through that on Saturday after I get another Shockers win.
Yeah, the Browns was supposed to be like a green yellow, but I just couldn't find that one, so I went with brown.
You go green yellow together, that makes brown.
I don't know.
Right. All right, let's get the Circa update action. We've got we went 4-1 again. Nice work. 2 weeks in a row. 3 out of the first 4 weeks we went 4-1. We just had the bad stinker week and would have been kind of in the mix if you look at it. The top dogs are 2 guys at top that are 18-1-1. Good for them. That's almost the best ever, I think. I don't think anybody's going 19-1, so that's pretty close. The top 5 guys, I think they were maybe 16-4, 16-3 or something. So the top 100 is 15-4-1. So we're 13-7. We're right there. We're right there, a couple 2.5 behind. So we got a shot here. Keep plugging away, and just consistency is going to get us home, right?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, if you told me before the season that we were going to be 65% after 4 weeks, I definitely would take that.
Exactly. So let's keep it up. Try to avoid those pitfalls. Even though we missed we did miss the Jacksonville thing when everybody got on board a couple weeks ago, but we've been pretty good about not picking the consensus, which is what we try to do.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Well, good luck this week. Follow us on, I should mention YouTube, of course. We have the Side Action channel on YouTube. I never mentioned that, but follow us at Side Action Pod on Twitter. Follow us on Side Action Pod Podcast on Instagram. Follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and on Instagram.
And follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
All right, everybody. Good luck this week.